I'll cover each and every topic regarding next generation sequencing. But before starting next generation sequencing, before starting my presentation, I just want to give some introduction about bioinformatics. First of all, what is bioinformatics? Bioinformatics is the application of information technology to the management of biological data. Means the biological data which has been generated by some experts, scientists, or there is some sequencing, how we have to analyze that data, how we have to store that data. Means at the end of the day, bioinformaticians can understand the biological problem and provide some computational solutions by generating some useful tools. First of all, what is the scope of bioinformatics? It uncovers the wealth of hidden biological information in the form of large-scale sequencing data. How? I'll present within a few minutes. Bioinformatics helps us in experimental biology, genetics, genomics, drug designing, simulation methods, and the main area of bioinformatics are database development, tool development, structural biology, next generation sequencing, expression analysis of genes, protein-protein interaction networks, identification of pathways, and some system biology aspects. Now, I'll present some next generation sequencing data handling. Means what is the scope of next generation sequencing? My screen is visible to all? Please tell my sequence screen is visible?
Dr. Gagandeep,
Yeah.
we can see your screen here.
Okay, no problem.
Only
First
thing is
of
that
all,
I think you can put it to presentation mode,
okay, no issue.
F5.
No issue. This is the mainly workflow chart for next generation sequencing data analysis. There are 8 main steps. First is raw data, then how to filter the data from raw data, means high quality data filtering from raw data, then de novo assembly of that data, and fourth step is annotation, and fifth step is functional categorization. After that, there is some enrichment analysis and some primer synthesis or differential expression between different stages. Overexpressed means there is expression of genes, or marker mining. I'll explain each and every step in my next slides. This is basically the overall workflow chart from raw data of next generation sequencing to enrichment analysis, functional characterization, differential gene expression, overexpression, down regulation, and marker mining and primer synthesis. Now, first of all, this is the raw data. This is the raw data in the fourth slide, that is SB user 23 RKS. This is basically the output of raw data, how this raw data has been generated. First of all, we are here, there is a table FCID, lane, sample ID, sample reference, index, description, control, and this is some machine which is giving us some output of the files in the format of XML, then who is operating, and what is the name of that project. For example, if we are working on a plant or any animal, we have to provide some code regarding that particular project, and which is the lane in the sequencing where we are performing sequencing, and then what is the index for the identification of particular organism, because we can sequence multiple organism in a single run. For identification, we have to provide index. Once the sequence will come, by using these index, we can easily identify which is the sequence and related to which organism by demultiplex. First of all, after sequencing this sample sheet, this is the sample sheet basically that lane sample ID. Now we'll get only data in the form of images. This is the image that we'll get after sequencing. This image is basically in BCL format. Now we can easily see in this image there is G, A, G, then T, A, T, G, C. There are only A, T, G, C. But there is some problem in this session. There is some problem. So there are maybe 100, 200, or maybe 1000 GB data related to these images. Now we have to, in this image, we can just read this data. Now we have to convert this data into writable format. For example, this is G. By observing G, A, we have to write this sequence in FASTQ format. We'll just convert this sequence in FASTQ format, and this will be the overall raw data after sequencing and BCL format. Will get this raw data. Now our second step is to filter that raw data which was in FASTQ format. We'll just clean our reads by providing some probability, maybe 75% reads with no errors. For example, here there is a one error. We'll select only those images having no error at all. Either there is 75% images we'll select for without errors, and we'll assemble those sequences. That is the generation of basically raw data. But if we don't have any sequencing machine, and if we don't have any budget for generating raw data, then what will we do? Then this is the NCBI database from which we can easily mine the generated data from various experts. They have submitted this data at NCBI database. Select at NCBI, there is a all database option. We should select SRA, that is sequence read archive, and we can easily select the name of organism, for example rat, and we can easily download the data in the form of FASTQ format. That previously we have generated this data in FASTQ format. Now we have to submit this data. Either we can download this data from NCBI SRA database, and easily we can download already available data at NCBI. Now our next step is, after filtering, how to assemble each read. Now we are in this slide, we are easily see there is a one read, second read, third read, fourth read. Means there is some coverage of that data. For example, in this case, maybe this is 12x coverage. By overlapping the different reads in order to avoid the errors of assembly, we have assembled all reads by overlapping, and finally we get some assembled sequence at the top. Okay, and after assembly, what will we get? We'll get the contigs. This is the formation of reads to contigs, and these are the contigs formed. That is all merged contig 1, 2, and 3. And we got the assembled reads in the form of contigs. Now, what is the stat of these contigs? That is N75, N50, N25. What do you mean by N75? N75 means 75% contigs have the length of 543 nucleotides, and 50% has length with 1140, more than this, and 25% has length more than 1869, and the minimum length of contig is 176 and maximum is 9000, and average length of each this contig is 740. These contigs are basically the sequences what we need after next generation sequencing in order to identify the function of a particular gene, in order to identify what gene is related to which particular pathway or target. This is the first step from data generation or download to assembly. If you have any doubt, can ask me please, because this is the first step in next generation sequencing. First of all, what is the target and why we are going to do next generation sequencing, and what is our mainly reads for why we are doing this next generation sequencing. If you have any query, please ask. From raw reads to assembly. Anybody has any query? It's just we have generated data, either we have downloaded our data. After generation or downloading data, we will assemble that data, and final assembled data. After this final assembled data, what will we do? We'll go for the functional annotation of each read, each sequence. We'll get what is the function of this first sequence, what is the function of this second sequence, what is the function of this third sequence. Then what will we do? We'll go for some annotation. For example, by using blast analysis at NCBI, what will we do? We have identified some functions. At annotation level, we have got cellular components. For example, at plastids 5%, nucleus 19%, either cytoplasmic 18%. In molecular functions, we got some binding sites, some transporter activities. Now, what is our target? Are we willing to identify some hydrolase activities? Either we want to find some DNA or RNA binding activities, either we want some nucleotide binding sites. What we want, we can easily get during this annotation process. Means if our target is to identify some cellular components, molecular functions, or biological processes, after annotation, we'll easily get our target. For example, if our target is to identify the proteins having role in transport, now we have identified 6% proteins in our data are related to transport. We can easily shortlist those proteins in order to find their mechanism, their role, their expression, whatever we need for our future research. So we can easily find our target. For example, here one more thing, response to abiotic or biotic stimulus. For example, in case of plants, there are several plants which are in harsh environment conditions, high temperature conditions. Which gene is responsible for the response during those abiotic factors or biotic factors? We have to identify that gene, and we can make a transgenic plant. For example, in cold stress condition, which gene is responsible? We can implement those genes in other plants so that those plants can also grow in cold stress conditions. Either in heat stress conditions, which genes are responsible for heat strokes? We can easily identify those genes, and we can generate a transgenic plant in order to grow that plant in a particular area. So after annotation, we can get lots of annotation processes so that we can shortlist the things in order to achieve our target. After annotation, we can easily find the pathways of these particular contigs, these particular assembled sequences. For example, I am showing here the pathway of glycolysis. This is the overall pathway of glycolysis, which is already known. But in my data that I have generated, the genes which I have identified from my data, I have colored these genes in green color. For example, this 2.7 1.1, Which gene is this? We can easily find this is phosphofructokinase, and I have found this gene in my data. Now, if my target is related to this gene, I can target this glycolysis pathway. But if I'm not interested in glycolysis, I'll find some other pathways, and then I'll start some dissection of other pathways in order to identify the gene related to the particular pathway, either in order to identify the particular pathway and how many genes are responsible and how many genes I have identified from the particular pathway which is of my target. Now in next slide, this is next generation. This is basically differential expression of genes, differential gene expression analysis. For example, I have shortlisted some genes and I want to see what is the expression analysis of those genes. In this slide, here in a table, there's a written as contig number. For example, contig number 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then Q1 to Q2, Q2 to Q1. What does it means? Q1 means for a particular first condition, Q2 means for a particular second condition. One condition is related to heat stress, other condition is related to normal conditions, means normal conditions for that particular organism. Now we can easily identify that in normal condition versus harsh conditions, contig 1 is highly expressing, and some other genes are expressing in normal conditions, some genes are expressing in harsh conditions. Okay, now what is our target? We have to identify the genes which are expressing in harsh conditions so that we can shortlist those genes for our next research work. And how to find the expression analysis, this is a particular very big task, very big thing for which we need a separate full class. But this right now I'll just give you an overview that how to find the expression analysis of genes. First of all, we have assembled reads. Now how to find expression analysis? This is the by using the mapping of reads. Once we got some reads, then we can easily find how many reads are expressing, how many reads are there for related to a particular genes, means number of reads are 4 or 8. If in one condition they are 4, in other condition reads are 8, means it is 2 times expressing 4 by 8. It is 1 by 4 by 8 is 1 by 2, either 8 by 4 for next condition, that is 2 times expressing, or it is basically a fold. Okay, from one condition versus second condition, how many times this particular gene is expressing. Now we have to shortlist the genes which are expressing in a particular conditions, and I have selected the genes which are having more than 2-fold expression. I have selected only those genes. Okay, you can easily up or down your values based on a review of literature. I have done some work on particular tea plant or other organisms, tulsi tea and this guanium, and I have selected the criteria of 2-fold. We can also select the criteria of 1-fold, but 2-fold is better, I have found from several literatures. Okay, now after getting the expression analysis, either the function of the particular genes, after assembly, some people need to mine some markers. What are the types of markers? They are maybe repeat sequences, for example, single sequence repeats, di-repeats, tri-repeats, tetra-repeats, penta-repeats for evolutionary analysis. Then there are some single nucleotide polymorphism, SNPs, and some have target of intron length polymorphism. From the intron region, they have to generate some marker. We can easily generate some markers on the basis of next generation sequencing. Finally, by using some primer 3 or other tools, we can easily generate our primer by using these particular sequences, and we can validate our functions by using real-time PCR. This is the basically overview of our next generation sequencing. Now this is the enrichment analysis. Means we have identified our genes. These genes are responsible for particular stimulus, particular function. How much their level as upregulation, down regulation, or it is a average, either it is a positive regulator, either it is a negative regulator. We have to do some enrichment analysis of our particular genes. Now in this condition, we can say upregulation at 9 level. Here is a response to water deprivation, means maybe this gene is responsible for the growth of a plant at water deficient conditions. Okay, so we have to identify the genes and their level of upregulation and downregulation by means of enrichment analysis. We can easily shortlist the genes by using enrichment analysis as well. This is basically the overview of next generation sequencing, from which what we can easily do from data generation to analysis. These are the 8 steps that I have just explained in front of you. First of all, raw data, then quality control and filtering, then assembly, then annotation. Assembly, will do some assembly by using some softwares. If you want to know the name of software, there is a Trinity software for assembly. And finally, final merged, we need some annotation. How to find the annotation? By using BLAST, then gene ontology annotations, then KEGG for pathways, then enzyme commission numbers, and from KEGG and GEO we'll get some different pathways and EC number from pathway genes. And from functional categorization, cellular, biological, and molecular that I have shown you. And in marker mining category, these are simple sequence repeats, SNPs, intron length polymorphisms, the annotation of those marker containing sequences, and primer synthesis, and then validation, after that enrichment analysis. And in assembly, we can easily find differential expression of genes, then over expressed or down regulated genes, and their functional categorization by using gene ontology or KEGG pathways. We can easily find the expression of these genes basically by using this next generation sequencing. Now it depends on the target of our research studies, what we want to do, so that we can easily find our target by using next generation sequencing. If you have any query related to next generation sequencing, please ask me, because I have hands-on experience of 10 years in handling next generation sequencing data, so that I can easily suggest you what to do in each step. For each step, it needs maybe 1 to or 15 days, up to 15 days for each step. So this is just the overview of next generation sequencing in order to identify the gene of your target. Okay, if you have any query, please.
I think there is one question from Yasmin.
Yeah.
What does minimum and maximum refers to?
What does
in the first
minimum?
Or second slide. Yeah, in the first or second slide.
This is the PRED scores. This is the PRED scores basically. Okay, you have said this 20 and 10 that I have written. 75% of the error doesn't have any read content, 0 errors. But 20 and 10 basically I have not included in this slide. Maybe I'll see again. Okay, I'll try to explain. First of all, minimum average PRED score for a sequence read and minimum PRED score for each base. This is basically, I'll go towards reads as well. This is the read. This is the read. For each base, this is the error. Is this visible? For each base, this is the error. And for each read, this is the error. Means how many reads have error. For 10 and 20, this is the probability, means 1 out of 1000 reads. If we are selecting this minimum PRED value as 1, then 1 out of 1000 reads we can select that particular. But for 20 reads out of 1000 images we can discard easily. And for each base we can discard. For example, I'll show you one thing. Actually, I have not included that slide that you have. This is a very good question. For example, in this case, there are only 30, less than 30. 20 bases. There are 20 bases, okay? There are 20 bases. Only one base has some error. Then what is the percentage of this one base? Out of 20, there is only one base has any error. The probability is only 5%. This is the 5 pred value. But if I got 1, 2, 3, and 4 these bases, I have to select this image. Understand? Again, I'll explain. For example, this is the one image that I have cropped actually. For a single image, there is the length of reads is almost 36, 72, 150. Okay. For minimum pred value, if the percentage of that error is 20% for each read and 10% for each read and 20% for full sequence. The error is, if error is 20% and 10% for each read and each base, then we will discard that. If it is more than this, and if error is more than 75%, overall error is more than 25%, sorry, here not 75%. If it is more than 25%, then we'll discard that image as well. Okay, this is the filtering algorithm where we have to find some probabilities based on overall error, error based on single read, error based on each base. This is the percentage and probability, how much reads are there with some errors, and we have to select those reads or we have to discard those reads. For example, I got almost 300 GB data of these images. After discarding this, the data was remaining 300 GB. Out of 300 GB, I think 200 GB data was remain for my assembly purpose after filtering by using this algorithm. You can change this algorithm. Maybe you will select your number by 80%. If you want to reduce your error in your assembly, you can change these values. If you want minimum pred value 0, if there is no error, then it will select your image. If there is error, then it will discard your image. But if you select 80% with 0 errors, then 20% probability is still there for error. Then minimum average pred for sequence read means for full length 20% is acceptable. For each base 10% is acceptable. Okay, for each base, how will you correct? This is each base. By seeing this image, you can easily select how much error is there. For each sequence, how many reads are, basically how many bases are there with these type of errors. And finally, overall error, which you should select these sequences, either you should discard these sequences. Any other question?
Yeah. Dr. Gagandeep, I think you can also tell like something about what type of research they can do if they learn this technique. Like for people
Okay.
who are new to this.
Okay, the people who are new to this, I'll start. Means I have to give some idea about research by using these techniques, next generation sequencing.
Right,
Okay.
like how this can be
Okay.
applicable for their research.
Okay. Then I have to find some. First of all, we are working on, if we are working on next generation sequencing, we can easily see how to extract and how to select data by if our target is a particular gene, and then how to characterize the data which is still in unusable form, and then how to assemble the data, then what is the statistical analysis of the data, and what are the particular pathways related to that data. We need to extract these things. And how we'll find the next generation sequencing beneficial, I'll give you a presentation, just wait, that I have performed, actually published my work. Just 1 minute, ma'am. Now I'll present some work that I have done by using next generation sequencing. Maybe it will be beneficial. Maybe there is some idea that you people get. No issue. 1 minute. Now see, there are some raw reads. These are the raw reads. Basically, what I have done, because I don't have access of any next generation sequencing platform, means I don't have Illumina sequencer because it cost, I think, more than 10 lakh for one single sample, or for more than one or two samples. In this work, what I have done, I have downloaded the available transcriptomes from the publicly available databases. What I have done, currently I have shown you in my previous presentation that raw reads can be downloaded from NCBI SRA database. I have downloaded data from 6 conditions, 3 from normal and 3 from disease conditions. Now what I have done, I have filtered the data by using NGS QC toolkit. And then what I have done, I have assembled and clustered the data followed by functional annotation. And here a functional annotation by using BLAST, then pathway identification, and then I have identified some transcription factors. Finally, what I have done, I have constructed a protein-protein interaction network. And finally, out of that network, we have identified some key genes among that network, and this work was on T, and we have mapped those T proteins data at NCBI available data. And then finally, we have identified some novel proteins, and this work has been published in Plant Cell Reports, that we have downloaded data from NCBI SRA database, and we have analyzed data by using next generation sequencing. And finally, we have identified some key proteins. The impact factor of that paper publication is that journal is 3.5, I think. We have easily downloaded data from NCBI SRA database and done perform the same thing. And by using this next generation sequencing application, we have published that work. Now, what are the databases? What are the data sets that I have downloaded basically? These are transcriptomic data sets. I have written SRP, SRP, and SRREP. I have given the reference of these data sets. These are transcriptomes of tea leaves in yellow stages. There are some different conditions, and then some drought stress, salinity stress during some mechanical bonding. There is some resistance or susceptible genotypes. I have downloaded all these data sets, and these data, the size of this data, all these data sets was I think 800 GB. Because for a single data set, there may be several conditions, and there were total 44 conditions related to these 6 data sets. In this work, what I have done, 44 samples of 6 publicly available transcriptomic data, 800 GB data I have downloaded, and I have constructed a protein-protein interaction network by assembly, and I have identified finally 247 transcription factors and overall 2750 key proteins. And this work has been published in Plant Cell Reports. You can easily find, and this is the overall protein-protein interaction network, means how one protein is interacting with other protein and other protein is performing the work. And this work was published in 2019 that I have earlier said. And among these network, 2750 proteins were the key proteins which are having important role in 44 stages after differential gene expression. Now, this is basically this work was related to the transcriptomic data. Now, same work I have performed by using genomic data. Same, what I have done by downloading the genome, I have downloaded the genome of 49 plants as well. I have not generated any data. I have just downloaded the data from publicly available databases. Finally, what I have done, I have downloaded this data and I have mapped this data with 49 other available plant genomes. And then we have identified some orthologs, and from string protein-protein interaction networks, we have again identified some network, and we have generated some network by using domain-domain interactions. And finally, we have identified some key candidates for particular pathways which are important in T. For example, flavonoid pathway is very important, and transcription factors which are very important, and some T proteins which are affecting due to some disease conditions. We have targeted those particular things, and we have identified some key proteins, and then we have validated those key proteins by using this next generation sequencing only. Then this is the categorization of pathway categorization of these particular T plants, where we have identified 5 categories in metabolism, genetic information processing, environmental information processing, cellular processes, and organismal systems. Firstly, which pathway is important and how many genes from our data is related to that particular pathway. For example, if I am targeting the immune system, 139 key genes have been identified. Now we can target these 139 key genes, and we can easily design a primer and validate these in disease resistant condition and susceptible condition, and we can easily find the expression analysis of each gene related to immune system, and we can easily find out that which gene is expressing in which condition. Same thing can be happen in human as well as in Asians. What are the particular genes which are continuously expressing for a particular disease condition for Europeans, and we can easily compare the genomes and transcriptome of from one ethnic group to another in order to find the particular particular disease risk of a particular ethnic group. Now, this is the transcription factor that we have identified from this TGPIN, T genome protein interaction network. I have identified 5,184 transcription factors, and these which are the transcription factors which are important. I have elaborated this Werke transcription factor, and then some other this LRR, then HLH. These are helix, and then other MYB transcription factors which are related to some immune systems. I have targeted this and validated this by using wet lab, means by using real-time PCR. This was the genome-wide protein interaction network, and this work is also published in recently. This work has been published, and this work is published in 6.20 impact factor. But in 2019, I have submitted this work in bioRxiv as well, where I have identified 1,302 key proteins from the genome, and this is easily available in this bioRxiv, and also all data is available. This is the subnetwork, the basically what the pathways I have targeted, because in plants, first of all, I have targeted flavonoid pathway, then photosynthetic pathways, then transcription factors, that particular I have targeted, and I have found how many genes are important for dissection in order to improve the quality and quantity of the particular tea plant. Then I have also targeted single cell genomics as well, where what I have done, I have selected mitochondria and chloroplast, where I have tried to identify the processes of this mitochondria and chloroplast, and I have scanned these chloroplast targeting proteins and mitochondria targeting protein, and finally I have tried to find what are the particular proteins in mitochondria and chloroplast which are expressing during biotic and abiotic stress conditions. Finally, I have identified those expressed genes, and we have tried to find some pathway enrichment that I have shown in my previous presentation. In pathway enrichment analysis, we can easily find the particular protein which is targeting protein, and we can dissect that particular protein. And these are the tools for chloroplast and mitochondria, and these are the pathways of mitochondria and chloroplast, means how many genes are from chloroplast and how many genes from mitochondria I have found for the particular metabolism category, genetic information processing, environmental information processing, or cellular processes, or any organismal system. Also, what we can do, we can easily categorize the chloroplast and mitochondria, means this is a single cell genomics, means how many molecular functions were there, biological functions were there, or cellular, we can easily categorize, and these are the subnetworks of mitochondria and chloroplast as well. Just we have to identify the genes and map these genes in the overall network that I have identified. These are the genes that which are important for photosynthetic. For example, this T gene is responsible for photosynthesis. This is for some repair mechanism. This is for some expression in chloroplast. This is for binding. Means I have identified these type of genes from chloroplast, which are these are the chloroplast targeting genes, and we have dissected and find some expression analysis of these genes. Now, this is the overall expression analysis of mitochondria and chloroplast genes, where 93 genes are co-expressing in chloroplast. There are 180 genes are co-expressing in particular 44 stages that I have selected. This is the biotic and abiotic conditions of a cell cycle proteins for the system biology approach. Means if we are targeting a particular cell cycle, how many genes from abiotic stress are expressing and how many from biotic stressors are expressing. We can easily select the genes from this heat map. And these are the genes that I have identified from circadian rhythm pathway, because this is the very hotspot for any organism. Means what is the circadian rhythm of the particular plant. I have identified these genes from the particular from the tea plant for related to circadian rhythm. And this is the overall circadian rhythm pathway which I have identified from the tea plant. Means which gene is expressing during morning and evening and other conditions, and which gene is overexpressing and which is not expressing, and I have generated this paper is also under review. And this is the basically categorization of particular cell parts, membranes, organelles, either response to stimulus, either catalytic activities. Whatever we want, we can easily select which gene is responsible to which function. We can easily select by gene ontology annotation. This is related to circadian rhythm. We can easily select and we can target the particular gene for the next process. And here in the circadian rhythm, we have found that 8 proteins with 138 interactions. Means these are the key proteins which are controlling 138 other proteins. So we have targeted these 8 proteins for further dissection. And this is the overall expression analysis of circadian proteins. And we have found some proteins which are particularly related to circadian rhythm, and we have reported these genes. And this is basically the structural biology. Structural biology aspect means when we have identified genes, what is the protein product of those genes? What is the structure of that protein? This is the part of structural biology as well. But from next generation sequencing, what is the protein product? What is the structure of that protein? We can easily model the protein structure. And finally, how many proteins, how many genes are there which are in hypothetical category? Means for every organism which is newly sequenced, 50% data is uncharacterized and 50% data is characterized. For characterized data, we can easily find the function. But for uncharacterized data, what will we do? We have to characterize that data which is in hypothetical. This is the overall workflow chart by using some conserved sequences, either by using some tools of primary, secondary, and tertiary, and further by using some structural prediction and homology modeling. I have connected next generation sequencing with structural biology, and I have predicted some structures related to hypothetical proteins, and I have reported these structures by using some databases. And this is the localization of hypothetical proteins that I have characterized. Some proteins are in vacuole, some in cytochloroplast, some in plasma membrane, some in mitochondria. We can select these proteins because these proteins are present, but these are continuously ignored by the scientists. And these are the pathways of those hypothetical proteins which were thought to be useless, but they have important function. And I have also published this work, and this is the gene ontology of these hypothetical proteins. These are the proteins which thought to be useless, but they have important function. We can easily target these genes for our some novel research idea. And this is the interaction of hypothetical proteins. Means hypothetical proteins are also interacting with some characterized proteins, and they are controlling some other proteins as well. So we should select these hypothetical proteins and target our other proteins, and we can easily validate these hypothetical proteins as well. This is the expression analysis of some proteins, and these are the structures of hypothetical proteins related to particular pathways. And finally, long non-coding and microRNA are some markers can also be mined that I have shown in my previous slides. This is the basically long non-coding RNA workflow chart that I have to published, and this is the conditions for where I have to validate the expression analysis of long non-coding RNAs. This is the work that we can do by using next generation sequencing. Now, what is the target? What is your target? Please, if you have any question, please ask me so that I'll explain the things related to next generation sequencing. This is the overall work that I have done during my research. Some work is already in processing. So if you are doing some particular research, you have particular idea, you want to implement next generation sequencing, transcriptomic analysis or genome analysis in your work, you can ask.
Looks like they do not have any questions. Do you have any questions?
Because the technique is same, first what to do, we have to generate data or download data, and what is our idea. If we want to target a particular pathway, we want to target a particular gene, then we have to identify that pathway or gene from our data, and then expression analysis, and then what is the basically first is expression analysis, then structural analysis, and then what is the role of that particular gene which is important for the particular stress condition. Is that gene, if we enhance the protein product or other things related to that gene, that disease might be cured. This is the mainly idea of next generation sequencing. Now, how to implement this next generation sequencing idea in your research? You should discuss your research with me so that I'll implement this next generation sequencing technique in your work, and this work can easily be published in some reputed journal.
I think you can tell the applications in medicine.
Yeah, applications. Also, there are some applications in medicine. For example, if this stress condition for plants, if I am working on plants, I have to identify some proteins and then find some computer-aided drug designing by using structural biology.
Medicine in the sense like in diagnostics and therapeutics, how this can be implied.
But it depends on the target of research, what kind of research work anybody is doing, and how to implement these things. Then I can suggest. And see, if
So
somebody is
suppose
working on.
just to give an example for cancer research.
Yeah, for cancer research, by using next generation sequencing, we can easily identify some pathways related to cancer. For example, P53 protein pathway, there are several other pathways. We can easily shortlist the genes from our particular data. For example, there is a normal patient, there is a normal person and a patient data. We can easily compare data of normal and disease condition, and we can easily find which pathway is stopped or which gene is not working and how to enhance the work of that particular gene. For that particular thing, we have to identify some pathways and then check the expression analysis of genes related to that particular pathway by using this NGS.
Okay. Any other questions for Dr. Gaganti? Let me stop the recording.